Right, we're going to be rearranging formulas, and all that means is you have an equation and you jumble it up and it basically starts with something different. So the question would be, make B the subject, or make C the subject, or whatever, of this equation, and all that means is in its final form it wants to look like B equals something. And you're not actually solving anything, you're just rearranging them. So in this case, what you'd do is you'd multiply both sides by 4. A4 equals minus 3 from both sides. Divide both sides by 5. Equals B. So that would be your answer. So it's just simple rearranging. Whatever you do to this side, you've got to do to that side until you get what you want. This one's slightly more difficult because there's some squares involved, and this wants you to be the subject of the formula. So I'll subtract 2as from both sides equals u squared. And then what you want to do is you want to square root both sides to cancel out this square. Square root of v squared minus 2as equals u. And because you're square rooting it, you want to just write plus and minus sign there. And you'd typically write it like this: u equals plus and minus square root v squared minus 2as. And the reason it's plus and minus, we've covered this in previous videos, but because a negative number and its positive can give you the same answer. That did not make any sense. But so minus 5 squared is equal to 5 squared. They're both the same. They both equal 25. So that's why you have to put the plus and minus in there, because you don't actually know. Moving on, this one says make n the subject of the formula. So what I'll do is I'll just expand out the brackets, and the reason you can do that is because it's not affecting the other side yet, so you can just simplify this side as much as you like. You then want to square both sides. And then subtract the 5. And what you could do is expand this bracket. Always write it out in long when you're expanding these brackets until you get used to them, because they're easy to make simple mistakes. So I'm just going to focus on this little bit first. So that would be 2m times 2m is 4m squared. 2m times 6 is 12m. 6 2m, another 12m, and 6 and 6 is 36. So when we simplify that down, the two 12s turn into 24. Alright, so now we've got what's inside the bracket. We just have to minus 5. So 4m squared plus 24 plus 36 minus 5 equals n. So n equals 4m squared. Oh, I was missing a letter there. plus 24m plus 31. I've done that extremely longhand. If you're more comfortable with it, you can skip along some of these steps. Alright, whenever there's Q's and P's, make sure you're careful, especially if you're dyslexic. So the reason this one's a bit more tricky, because it wants a P as the subject of the formula, but you have two P's. So what you've got to do is multiply the bottom, the left side by this bottom fraction here. So we get Q P minus 1 equals P plus 1. We then want to expand out the brackets, so that's QP minus Q equals P plus 1. We then want to get all the P terms on the left, and everything else we want to keep on the right. So this one, it's got a Q in, but it's also got a P, so we'll keep that. QP. Q will send over to the other side. The P will bring over, so we'll minus P. And the 1 can stay there. We then want to simplify this so we're able to divide it through. So if we keep all the P's out, because there's P's in both terms, we write this as a Q minus 1, and that's because P times Q gives you the PQ, and P times minus 1 gives you that minus P. And then finally, you can divide through, because there's a little multiplication sign there. You can divide through. So P equals Q plus 1 over Q minus 1. Alright guys, that was an introduction to rearranging formulas. Just wanted to say thank you to the Ginger Mathematician and 2 for 2 Maths for giving us a subscribe. Much love to everyone. That takes the grand total up to 3. Wow, incredible.